We have him stock stuck in the 20s, SpaceX IPO going crazy, went up 20% the first day, and we also have the US and Iran coming to an agreement which could explode the stock market. I don't mean that, no pun intended, right? So I'm going to go over these stories really quickly, as well as my $100,000 challenge, week 54. Let's get into it. All right, so we got HIM stock stuck in the 20s. I'm going to go over when you can expect HIMs to go back up. We have SpaceX IPO as well as the US and Iran deal. It hasn't been signed yet, so I'm going to kind of go over just the basics. It just happened over the weekend. And then also my $100,000 challenge, week 54. So if you can, please give me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. So when will HIM stock go back up? Well, right now it's at 26.82. It went down 7%. It just seems like it cannot get into the 30s, right? It cannot get into the 30s, so what is going on? It's down 56% since October 2025. It's also 0% from the peak of the Novo hype, right? They made the deal with Novo, everyone got hyped up. Okay, great. Ever since then, it's been up and down, but since that exact point, it is almost on the dot of exactly where it was. So it has not moved at all, right? So what's going on exactly? Well, their latest quarterly earnings, pretty bad. As you can see, they missed on EPS and revenue. That you don't want to see. It was a little bit of a shocker. Not by crazy amount, but you still missed. The EPS was huge miss. So that doesn't help. When you look at their earnings history, though, they have a record of beating. So they have now 2 misses in the last year. That's kind of a big deal in the sense of they have had some issues in the last year. A lot of that due to Novo and their, the compounding of the GLP-1 and all that. So as long as that doesn't happen for another few, now they got their deal going, I think things should be okay. But you look at their revenue, how much they were in their growth rate, right? How much they were growing. Of course, as you grow, it's harder to keep up those rates, but you go from 100 to the 80s to the 50s, okay, now you're going back to the 70s a little bit, and you hit 100%, 70, 49, 28, 3%. That is big, right? That is huge. That they have a 3%, that was big. That really hurt the stock and the story of the company short term. The upcoming quarter earnings are going to be in August. So it's going to be a minute, right? It's a couple months. It's less than 2 months, but still, it's 2 months of we have to wait for some news. But other than that, there's what's going to move the stock, right? So they will be announcing on the 3rd of August. They're expecting 732 million. EPS estimate is -4. So here's one thing you don't like to see, the revisions. They've had 9 revisions down. A lot of people are thinking that they're, that it's going to be what they initially thought that they were going to bring in revenue-wise, or EPS actually, is that they think it's going to be less, so that's just not good. The good thing, though, is that they just did this on March 26th with Novo. This was very new, and this is also what really hurt their first quarter. They recently now just entered and finalized their deal with Eucalyptus, so now they're going to be international. Right, so they're going to be doing all this. They have to pay $240 million in cash, but now they're going to be international, and this company is going to be. If you know anything about Celsius, who brought Alani Nu, which I don't think this is going to be anything like that, but them bringing in this company that was able to produce a large amount of revenue and growth helped their bottom line and top line tremendously. Especially the top line. So I do think the top line, the revenue is going to grow a lot more now that they've done this. The FDA is also having a meeting on July 23rd and July 4th for the 7 peptides that could be reclassified or recommended whether to be compounded. Yeah, I think it's just reclassified, right? Well, another 5 are going to be reviewed in February. So the end of July, This is my prediction. The end of July to the beginning of August is when we're really going to start seeing HIMSS make a move upward. For the next 2 months, I do not think HIMSS is going to do much because we're waiting for peptides, earnings, and I don't know what other kind of news they can come out with, to be honest with you. I thought there was a potential of maybe them advertising for the World Cup because he kind of teased it. They're not doing it. So as much as I know, maybe they do it for the final, but as much as I know, as far as I know, that there's really going to be no big news until this meeting and their earnings. But if their earnings are a beat in any way significantly, that's going to help. I mean, the stock probably will shoot up tremendously, but I don't know if they're going to be able to beat that much. Also, the peptides market is right now currently 80 to 140 billion. It's going to be about 300 billion in about 7 years or so. So, that's good. The peptide, that meeting could do a lot, as well as their next earnings. SpaceX IPO. They just went public on Friday. It went up about 20%. It's 19%. After hours, up 3.5%. So this thing is, it's skyrocketing. This is what, they only had 1 day of trading. So this is where it was. It topped out at, 175. And then it settled in around 160. So, and as you can see, the market cap is $2.11 trillion. So it immediately became one of the biggest companies in the world, right? Or it didn't immediately become, but it, in terms of value, yeah. Now, if you saw any of these analysts before the IPO, there was a lot of buy, you should buy. And now it's a lot of sell. A lot of people are saying you should sell it, or, if you even have it, or just not buy it right now. There is a lot to do with IPOs and the history of IPOs. Typically, you get just kind of right now the hype. The first 2 to 3 months, you kind of get a reality check. Then you really start finding things out about half of the way in the year. Then the 7 to 9 months, you start bottoming out. And then after about a year, if you're a good company, strong company, you can come back and maybe even be profitable compared to what your IPO was. But typically, this is kind of the normal roller coaster for an IPO. Now, they do say SpaceX is going to be a little different, where day 5, they're already entering the Russell, day 10, the MSCI, but then they're also entering the NASDAQ 100 within the after 15 days. What happens is you get automatic buying from NASDAQ funds. That is going to be, billions in passive capital have no choice but to buy. So, in that case, I do think that the SpaceX, the stock is going to go up from here. It could reach $200, $210, somewhere around there maybe. And then from there, drop back down to 150, 130, maybe even $100. $100. That's right. Like, at $100, it's still like $1.5 trillion, I think, right? More. So, no, it'd be a little bit less. It'd be like 1.3. I think in 6 months, it'll be about between $100 and $120. That's where I think SpaceX stock will be. Where it will be in 5 years, I'm not 100% sure. I do believe in this company. Elon Musk is an insane entrepreneur, so I never want to bet against him. If someone said, you're going to put money on Elon Musk or against it, I would put it on. So if I had to choose, I would just buy SpaceX right now if I had to choose, either buying it now and holding it forever or never having it at all, I'd buy. But I do think it's going to be a roller coaster for the first year. That's for sure. All right, stock market update. What's been going on? We have the S&P 500 up 17% since March 30th, which is 74 days. And then we also have the NASDAQ, which is up 24% since March 30th, 74 days. So they're on a little bit of a run. As you can see, though, we had not a crash or anything, but Nvidia has been going down, Apple went down, Broadcom went down, Microsoft, a lot of companies went down. Meta went down 10%. I mean, Oracle down 20%. Palantir down. I mean, there's a lot of people. Salesforce is down 12%, right? A lot of people are kind of assuming too a little bit of just getting out of those and buying into SpaceX. I mean, you do have Intel going up 17%, right? You have what is this? Klarna? Yeah, Klarna, or what is that? Up 25%. How do I not even know what this company is? But some companies did do good and some didn't do so well. Tesla went down the same day as SpaceX went up, but I mean, it's kind of not a big deal. Not a big deal for Elon, I'll tell you that much. AAII Sentiment Investor Survey, we have the bulls now going down even more. They went to 30%. As you can see, the average lately has been in the 30s, the mid 30s. The historical average is 37.5, so we are still well below that now. And the bears are coming back. Now, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting take. Now, as you can see, it was fairly even, bull to bear, right? Over here, it was more bearish, but bull to bear. Now we're back to the bears kind of coming back. Check this out. The fear is also here. And I always find it interesting that when the fear and the bears are on the same level, right? When the bears are outnumbering the bulls here, and we're fearful, that's very interesting. That sometimes signals to me that, okay, now we possibly can go down a little bit from here and then move up. But I do think once this fear, when they say, oh, be greedy when others are fearful, that is totally true. But if it's just a little fearful, that's not fearful enough for me in terms of, okay, let me really throw some capital and the extra capital than I would usually. I want to be in extreme fear with the AAII sentiment being pretty bearish as well. So we could be starting to head towards that. We're going to go over some of what happened, with the stock market. So again, the SpaceX IPO, we kind of went over it, so I'll go over this really quickly. Battery's going to die. So they sold 555 million shares at the initial price of 135. So they raised 75 billion. And as we know, the massive valuation was about 2 trillion. SPCX is the ticker. And then history for Elon Musk. I'm sure you know he is the world's first trillionaire. If you were to make $100,000 a day, what was it, $1,000 a day? It would take you 100,000 years to get. I mean, it's just stupid on how much money on paper he has. And a lot of people hate on it. One thing people are not really taking into consideration, he's made a lot of other people millionaires. Just think about that. He may be himself, on paper, a trillionaire, but he has made other people, in reality, millionaires, taking care of families, taking care of generations. Just saying. Market friction, the sheer size of the company, is going to force the NASDAQ and other indexes to buy, right? And there are skeptics saying that it is a big IPO. It might be too big of a company already, but again, I kind of already went into that. Now, the U.S.-Iran peace deal. They made a deal, another core agreement. United States and Iran reached an agreement to end the war that began in late February. Now, the deal mandates an immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts. Strait of Hormuz will be reopening. It's responsible for 20% of the world's oil, so that is very good, obviously. The mediators, the deal was brokered following intense diplomatic pressure, primarily Pakistan and Qatar. I think I'm saying that wrong, right? But also support Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Turkey, I don't know. The timeline. While the verbal agreement was finalized, Iran's foreign minister confirmed that the implementation will formally begin once the official document is signed in Switzerland. and there's unresolved levers to secure the end of active combat, complex and deep-rooted issues, specifically the dismantling of Iran's nuclear program, were intentionally carved out to be addressed in the technical talks. And regional complications, despite the announcement, regional volatility remains high. Israel was largely sidelined with the direct negotiations and conducted heavy airstrikes right up until the announcement, showing it can be pretty fragile. So that's what's going on. Expect the stock market to boom a little bit. The stock market's going to want to run. We might have a correction here in the summer towards the midterm, like the big midterm elections, because I think we're really starting to run heavy. And with this deal going, I think the market's going to just keep going. It's going to want to run, and then eventually it's going to be, okay, it's too much. We need a break. And there's going to be some excuse. There's going to be some excuse to break it. Doesn't mean we're going to have a crash or like a 10 to 15% correction maybe, but something maybe around the 5 to 10%. Earnings, nothing. We got nothing, right? Canopy Growth, Lazy Boy Progressive, Kroger, Dave & Buster's. Let's just skip, right? Not that many. Earnings season is basically officially over. So let's go into my $100,000 challenge. Week 54, I've been doing this now for 54 weeks, every single week. Some of these videos I get out on the later side, on maybe a Sunday or something like that, maybe a Monday morning. Right now it is 1 in the morning on a Monday. I'm getting this eventually out on the weekend. I have a crazy busy life, and so sometimes I force myself to get these videos done in the last minute, which I'm doing right now, but it's accountability and it's a commitment I have made, so I'm doing it. Anyway, $100,000 challenge. I'm at $9,275.61. I was down about 1% on Friday. As you can see, my positions, TQQQ holds the biggest in terms of weight, and it's probably going to be like that for a while. HIMS and Celsius, once these things actually start booming, then I'll start, getting this weight up. No pun. I need to get my weight down. Anyway, HIMS went down 7%. It's just not doing well, and we have all the tech, right? AI and all this stuff happening, and HIMS is a medical company, that sells, it helps people lose some weight and stuff like that. It's not a tech company to people, and so it's just not exciting. Same thing with Celsius. It's not exciting. It's not an exciting stock at all. Meta's not exciting because there's nothing they're doing. It's just other than spending money, right? Amazon went up a while, but now it's really, none of this is exciting. And even Salesforce has gone down 165. It's at 165. That is insane. And ServiceNow was at like 120, and now it's back down to 100. So it's kind of crazy to see where these stocks are pushing down. I'm picking some up at a good price. Week 54, my goal was $11,854.22. Again, this is going up 20% per year. So I should have been around here in that year range. So it's fine. I started this challenge when HIMS was at 52, and I had like 50 shares. And so I knew when I started this challenge it was going to be a challenge, and I could have sold all my HIMS at the time, but I didn't. I sold some HIMS at $58, waited for it to drop, bought more, and so I'm fine with where I'm at right now. This is a long-term game. So my weekly change I was up about 1.5%. I'm still down 21% from the goal. I am up 26% since the challenge started, but I do make $50 deposits every single week. So if you take away all those deposits, I am actually down 16%. Down 16%. But HIMS is down 50% since I started. And it was like one of my major holdings. It was like my top 1 or 2 holdings. For sure, one of my top 2 holdings. And it's down 50%. So just putting that into consideration, right? I've done okay. And I also lost money on Fubo. Fubo was one where I was putting money in. I kind of bought heavy, and then I didn't really stay up to date with it. My conviction was going down, and yet I still stayed in it. And so that ruined me a little bit. So I think I'm doing okay for the mistakes that I've made, and as well as, like I said, HIMS being down 50%. I did make a buy of Micron, very little. Obviously, I put in $50, so I'm buying 0.05 shares. But again, I'm not trying to put in too much money. For ServiceNow, I put in $100, I bought just one share. And then I do put in $50 into this account every single week. Again, I do want to do this challenge in a way of where people can kind of not imitate it, but do the same thing, right? The same process of buying $50, just depositing $50 a week, maybe it's $25 a week, and then you're buying on the regular, I'm buying a little bit more, and, I'm a little bit more active, but I am just trying to prove, hey, you can buy consistently, $50 a week, whatever it is, $25 a week, just as long as you're buying consistently, you stay up to date on your portfolio, that you can do it and you can start making money. And again, I started this challenge is going to be a long-term play, right? Right now I'm at 1 year and I'm not nearly where I want to be, but that's because the stocks haven't performed as much as I'd want them to be. But after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that's the whole goal, right? The whole goal is the long term. So thank you for watching. Like I said, it is 1 a.m. in the morning. I am pretty tired. I've had a long day. I've been working World Cup. I have a life with kids and all that stuff. So I really appreciate anyone who's watching. If there's anyone watching right now, my last weekly update didn't do anything. People are like, I don't want to watch your videos anymore. I also have been inconsistent. I haven't been doing anything but these stock market updates over the last few weeks. Again, from shooting weddings to music events to World Cup, I am absolutely all over the place. So to making these videos is a lot harder and more taxing than it is to just put in the work of buying some stocks and, reading some stocks and looking into them. So, the time I'm putting into this definitely is more than what I need to be in terms of just being successful in stocks and all that. But I do want to be putting out these videos for people, try to encourage some people to invest. I've worked with some young people and I'm always asking them, are you investing? Are you investing? My kids already have accounts and they're going to be compounding so much more. We have these Trump accounts, which you can get $1,000 if you're a kid born in 2025 or is it 2026 and later. Those are going to be great for kids. And I hope what it does more for anybody is just encourage people to start earlier, and so, yeah, that's what I'm encouraging people to do is to start early. And I think it's going to do great. And so people will see the effect long term. There's been many times where I've had a stock and 5 years later, 3 years later, I'm just kicking myself. I had 50 shares of AMD, maybe more, at $10, $11. I could show you the screenshots. I've showed it with the community I'm in. It's painful. It was 10 years ago. I remember these days. I remember when AMD was just this little company, but I was like, I built my own computer in 2018. I'm like, AMD, NVIDIA, these companies, these are mistakes. See, this is why I want to put out these videos. I don't even know if anyone's listening to this rant right now, but if you are making these mistakes, hold on to the lesson from that mistake and don't do it again. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to hold on to these stocks that I know over the next 5 to 10 years are going to do great. I understand what the future is going to be like in 10 to 20 years. I've made other mistakes where I know where the future is going to be in 10 to 20 years, so I invested into a stock that was not ready for it. The market's not ready for it. The numbers aren't. There's so much not ready for it, but I do know where the world is going to be. So if you know where the world's going to be in 5 to 10 years, you can start investing into companies that have strong, it's a strong company from strong income statements, to balance sheets, to cash flows, all that. Make sure it's good. But yeah, anyway, that's just me. Start investing early, and never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.